Hello students, welcome to the Business Communication class with me Adela Samuel, Head Department of Accounting and Finance, St. Anne's Arts and Science College, Madavaram. In today's class, we are going to see the topic types of business communication. This is one of the very important topics usually asked question in your university exam. So make sure you understand this answer very thoroughly. So let's start off with the types of business communication. Business communication is divided into two major types, external communication and internal communication. Under the internal communication, again we have formal communication and informal communication. Formal communication is divided into different types. Number one, upward communication. Number two, downward communication. Number three, horizontal communication. And number four, diagonal communication. Informal communication, on the other hand, has one type, grapevine communication. But under grapevine communication, we have different types again. First one is single strand chain grapevine communication, gossip chain grapevine communication, probability chain grapevine communication, and cluster chain grapevine communication. So in today's class, we will be studying about these types of communications in detail. First, we will start off with external communication. External communication, when the organization communicates with the government agencies, other organizations, customers, suppliers, media, and the public, is called external communication. So in simple terms, we can say is when an organization wants to communicate outside the organization to the organizers, other organizations, to other suppliers, customers, and other people outside the organization, we call that as external communication. Next is the forms of external communication. What are the different forms through which externally we can communicate? First type is face-to-face meetings. So if you want to externally communicate to other people outside the organization, one way in which you can do so is through the help of face-to-face meeting with the other person. Second type is through telephone meetings. So if you suppose you want to meet your customers, you want to tell them about your company's products or information, you can either meet them face to face or you can call them through telephone calls and talk to them. Another way of communicating is through the help of mail and fax. So sending them information through the mails and through the fax system, we can communicate externally. Next type of external communication is through advertising. Advertising is one of the very powerful tools that is used for communicating information to the external environment, people who are outside the organization. So if you are a company which is selling a product, you have the best possible way of communicating your information to outsiders is with the help of advertising. Telling your customers through television ads or newspaper ads or posters, billboards, or sending letters to their houses, sending order copies to their houses, or personal selling like a salesperson trying to tell customers about the products. All these will be part of advertising, which is one of the very powerful form of external communication. Then you have the website of the company, which will give a lot of information about the company to its customers and to the external people who are outside the company who want to get information about the company. That is also another way of communicating information. Then you have something called as notice and letters. Apart from all these varieties that you have, you can send notice to your customers, to your third party, or to the government, or to other organizations, informing them about whatever products you want to inform or whatever information you want to give them. So through notice and through letters, you can send across information. Another way is with the help of reports. Reports is a kind of a format that is written, a summary that is written about the company, about the workings of the company, or about how the progress of the company is. All that can be written to the report, and that can be communicated to their customers through their salespeople, or to the other organizations, to the government authorities, all these people outside the organization. So the reports that the company writes can be put up in the websites or sent through letters or emails or fax to different people, so that they will get information about the company. So these are the various forms of external communication that is used by any company to communicate information about the company to the others outside the organization. Next comes external communication objectives. So the first objective is business promotion. What is the major reason for communicating information to outsiders? It is for promoting the business, for promoting the business products, for promoting the business name, for getting enough of profits through these promotions. That's the reason why external communication is a major objective. Then for public relation promotions, for having a good relation with the public or to the society, to have a good relationship with the society, to the public, external communication is required. Only if there is proper external communication to the general public or to the customers, to the society at large, only then they will be in a position to know about the company, to come buy products from the company and then attain profits. So public relation promotion is another important objective why external communication is used. Then we have social obligation fulfillment. That is external communication. Another objective that is there for external communication is that they have to fulfill certain obligations for the society at large. Only when the company is able to communicate well to the society, they will be able to fulfill these kinds of objectives that the companies will have for itself. Then you have business etiquette. That is, it's a basic requirement for any business to have a good relationship outside the organization with the other companies, with the other sellers or business people who are in the market, with the other company owners, to the government, to the public, to the general public, to the society, to the customers. So it's a general basic etiquette that you have to have as a organization. So that is the reason why basic etiquette is also a part of external communication objectives. Now, coming to internal communication. Internal communication refers to every organization has a need to maintain appropriate communication with its branches, staff, and employees. This is called as internal communication. So, if a communication is between different branches of the same company, within the staff and its employees, we call that as internal communication. Next comes forms of internal communication. what are the various forms that are present under internal communication? First type is instruction to implement policies, projects and programs. So with the help of this internal communication happens through the help with the process of creating policies and trying to implement them, we can communicate internally. Second one, with the help of reports from employees to the superiors. So if the employees have to communicate some information to the superiors, they have to write up reports and submit it to the superiors. Through that, internal communication happens. Then you have face-to-face meetings. When people are meeting face-to-face, sitting and discussing certain things that has to be done for the organization, internal communication process happens. Then you have interactions through mail, circulars, memos, teleconferencing, etc. So through the process of sending mails or sending circulars and memos or having a telephone call, telephone conferencing, video calling, all these ways are some of the things that they use in order to send across information within the organization. That's why it is internal communication. Internal communication. There are two types of internal communication. Formal, which means the flow of official information through proper predefined channels and routes. The flow of information is controlled and needs deliberate effort to be properly communicated. So it is when a proper channel is given and only through that channel you have to communicate, and it is controlled by the employers, then we can call that as a formal communication. Second type is the informal communication, where casual communication between co-workers in the workplace. It is unofficial in nature and is biased in the informal, and it is based in the informal social relationship that are formed in a workplace outside of the normal hierarchy of business structure. So that means it is not a very official kind of a information channel. It is where friends can meet together and talk with each other, and information passes from one person to another. So there is no formal channel at all. There is no proper route at all. Anybody can talk with anybody and give information to others. That is an informal kind of a communication. Under formal communication, we are going to see what are the types. First one is upward communication. Upward communication is maintained from a lower level of employee to the higher level. It is called as an upward communication. So from the lowest level, when communication passes up, we call that as an upward communication. That is from the worker, the information is going to the supervisor. Then from them, his superior will be the manager. So when the information is passing from bottom to up, we call that as upward communication. Second type is downward communication. Downward communication is the flow of information and message from higher level inside an organization to the lower level. So from the managing director, when they communicate information to the next level, manager, general manager, then to the sectional managers, then to the superiors, supervisors, and then it goes to the staff and the workers who are present in the company. So when it is coming from up and going down below, we call that as a downward communication. The third type is horizontal or lateral communication. What is this? Communication between people within a community, peer group, departments or units of an organization who are at or about the same hierarchical level as each of the other for the purpose of coordinating activities, efforts or fulfilling a common purpose or a goal is called as horizontal or lateral communication. So if, say for example, there are managers for different departments and they are communicating with each other, they are all in the same hierarchy level only. They are in the same level. They are not above each other or they are not below each other. So they are in the same level. So when they are communicating with each other in order to coordinate activities or to fulfill a particular goal, we call that as horizontal or lateral communication. Next comes diagonal communication. Diagonal communication is where communication using the upward, downward, horizontal for understanding, motivating and for feedback purpose is called as diagonal or cross-functional communication. So here there is no restriction at all. Upward, downward, horizontal, anywhere across the different hierarchical levels you can communicate with each other. We call that as a cross-functional or diagonal communication. Why this kind of a system is used is for understanding the employees, for motivating them and for getting feedback from each level. They go in for a diagonal kind of a communication. Next we have the informal communication. Under informal communication, one type that is present is a grapevine communication. A grapevine communication. So what is this grapevine communication? Grapevine communication, it is a form of informal communication in business that develops within an organization. The information flows in any order. That is, it does not follow horizontal or vertical communication. The information spreads very rapidly than other channels of communication. So what happens here is that it's like a grapes. Grapes, have you seen a grapes? There is no order at all. It can grow horizontally, it can grow vertically, it can go diagonally. So that is why they call it as a grapevine communication. It's like a cluster. So there is no rule at all whether the information should pass only in a straight line or in a horizontal line, in a diagonal line, nothing like that. So in a very informal manner, when there is some kind of a communication happening within the employees in an organization, where they meet up with each other, talk to each other, gossip with each other, send information from one department to another, all that kind of an information is what is called as grapevine communication. Now, under the grapevine communication, we have different types of grapevine communication. First type is single strand chain. It is the passing of information from the line of persons to the recipient. For example, when a person is first person is telling the second person will tell the third person will tell the fourth person. So it will keep passing from one person to another, to another, to another. So that kind of an information that is passing from one person to another is what is called as a single strand chain. So it need not be just a horizontal or vertical. It can be any kind of communication very informally. Nobody is telling them to give this information. In a very informal manner, as friends, they talk with each other and pass information. That is called as a single strand chain grapevine communication. Second type is gossip chain communication. Gossip chain is when a person goes around communicating the information or message he or she has obtained. So you get one message, you tell 200 people that something that you have received. So it's like that. So it's like a gossip that is happening. One person will communicate this information to everybody. The person who's got the information, he will go communicate to another group of people. So like that, this chain keeps spreading, information keeps spreading. So that is called as a gossip chain grapevine communication. Then you have probability chain communication. Probability chain is when there are selected listeners and the information passed may be interesting but not essential. So you might be passing information to everybody, but there will be only certain people who are actually interested in listening to that information. So they get the information and they send it across to different other people. So that is called as a probability chain. Sometimes some people might hear it, but they will not spread it. So that is called as a probability chain grapevine communication. Then you have cluster chain. In cluster chain, the information is passed to selected people who may further pass the information or message to other selected persons. So they know in a cluster chain is where one person sends across information to a group of people and another person will send it to another group of people. So for example, if there are 2-3 departments in an organization, one person will be spreading the information to his department. Another person will be spreading the information to another department. So it is information will pass in clusters. So that is called as a cluster chain grapevine communication. So these are the 4 types of grapevine communication that is present. So thank you students. I hope you have understood these types of communication very thoroughly. So you have to understand what are the different types, 2 types, and then under each type what are the various types that are present. I hope you've understood and liked this video. If you have any doubts, please get back to me and you can clarify your doubts. You can also get the notes in the next class. Please take it down and keep studying. All the very best and thank you students.